Sir, good morning. Hello. Sir, Mari sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Girish. Am I audible?
Well,
Good morning, Girish.
yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Welcome, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We will start at 10 o'clock, sir.
Sure. Once all the
Thank you.
participants reach the room, so we will start. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir. You need to select S. Sir, Ratna Kumar, sir. It is you have to give an option yes. Yes, sir. Right. Good.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Yes. Hello, sir. Mari, sir. Hello. Hello.
Yes, Dr. Girish.
Sir, can we start or can we wait for a few more minutes, 1 or 2 minutes?
No, what about the conditions? Because you might be knowing for the past 3 days that with respect
Yeah.
to the participant as well as the
Yes, sir.
installation
Yeah,
status.
yeah, yeah. Few people have already installed, sir. Maybe before afternoon, we'll make sure that everyone will get installed. Whoever is having that infrastructure
Okay.
facility.
So then we can wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Let's see the
Okay,
number
sir.
of the participants. Then we can
Okay,
start.
sir.
And
Sure, sure,
maybe
sir.
I will cover some theoretical lecturer approach. Once it
Yeah.
is over, so you just instruct the other participant to install the app
Mhm.
before afternoon session. Okay, before going to
Right.
the handout phase.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay, okay,
Okay, sir.
great.
Thank you. We'll start the session, sir. Mari, sir. Hello. I'll introduce, then I'll hand over the session to you, sir.
Okay.
Please, yeah. Yeah, dear participants, my voice is audible to all of you. If yes, you can just post a message, then we will start the session. My voice is clear and audible. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah. Good morning to all the participants, the colleague faculties and faculty from other institutes, professors and the engineers and students. I once again welcome you for this AICTE sponsored 1 week online short-term training program on soft computing techniques in civil engineering, water resources, structures, and transportation applications. As a part of the program, today we are going to have start the hands-on experience for 2 days, which is on application of SPSS in transportation engineering, which is going to be delivered by the expert and speaker Dr. Mali Swaminathan from NIT Trichy. I would like to introduce Dr. Mali Swaminathan. Dr. Mali Swaminathan did his BTech in civil engineering at NI University and obtained his masters in transportation engineering at Anna University, and later he obtained his PhD in transportation systems engineering in the Department of Civil Engineering at IIT Bombay. He started his career as a research associate and project research scientist during the year 2017-18 at IIT Bombay, and later he has also worked as a postdoctoral research fellow at SUTT MIT International Design Center, Singapore, during the year 2018, and currently he's working as assistant professor at National Institute of Technology, Tiruchirappalli, since 2018. Uh, Dr. Mari Swaminathan research interests includes road safety and accident analysis, traffic engineering and management, pedestrian and driver behavior modeling, facility design and evaluation, the traffic operation and simulation, fleet demand modeling, and so on. Dr. Mari Swaminathan is also active consultant and handled a few research projects which is sponsored by research seed grant which is submitted to the National Institute of Technology, and he has introduced one curriculum with the name transportation logistics for the PhD scholars, and currently two plus PhD scholars are working under the guidance of Dr. Mari Swaminathan. Dr. Mari also guided a few PG dissertations and also a BTech thesis. Dr. Mari is also actively involved in various administrative roles at NIT Trichy since 2018. Adding to that, he has various international visits like Singapore University of Technology and Design during the year 2018, and National University of Singapore during the year 2018, and TRB annual meeting Washington DC in the year 2017, and so on. And also he's a part of invited guest lectures, and also he was a member of various workshops and conferences held in India and other countries. Dr. Mari also recognized with various awards. A few such are awarded for DUO Indian Faculty Fellowship with the university in UK on 2020, and awarded for a postdoctoral research fellowship from Singapore University of Technology and Design during the year 1819, and awarded for a student fellowship from Association of Transportation Professional of Indian Origin in the year 2017, and also he is a member of various journals as a reviewer and conferences, few such as Journal of Traffic Injury Prevention and International Conference of Transportation Research Group of India, CTRG, Transportation Letters, the International Journal of Transportation Research, and the Transportation Research Board, TRB, World Conference on Transportation Research, WCTR, and also the International Conference on Innovative Trends in Civil Engineering for Sustainable Development, ITCSD 2019. With this introduction, I would like to once again thank Dr. Mari Swaminathan for accepting our invitation for being part of this AICTE sponsored online training program. Sir, this is the third time we are associating with you. We are very happy to have you for this program too. Thank you once again, and I would like to hand over the session to you. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Girish. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible and clear, sir.
Okay. So I will mute my video, and then I will
Sure,
share
sir.
my screen.
Yes, sir.
So now can you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, I'm able to see.
Okay. So a very good morning to everyone. In 2 days, we are going to discuss about the applications of SPSS as well as the hands-on practice. How can we utilize the SPSS software for the solving various mathematical issues? Basically, I consider that we all are beginner for that particular software. With that assumptions, I'm going to cover the various aspects on that particular software. Okay. So the proposed title is Application of SPSS Software in the Transportation Engineering Field. So here I would like to start my presentations with respect to the various applications. So what are the research problems are there when it is coming to the transportation engineering? To solve that research problem, how the SPSS software can be adopted. So in that particular aspect, I'm going to discuss in the today lectures. And finally, I will show how the SPSS view will be there. So this is the outline of the today presentations, particularly morning session. And the second afternoon sessions, we will practice how to enter the data or how to import the data from the Excel sheet and what are the basic analysis we can do with respect to the variable like a descriptive statistics as well as the frequency statistics and various diagrammatic representations. How can we deliver by using the SPSS software? So this is the initial one, how the beginners learn how to open the SPSS, what are the basics functions are there, and what are the parameters analysis we can do when it is coming to the descriptive analysis. Then the third class, we will go a little bit in the detailed manner. We can check about the correlation test, how the correlation testers we can perform before developing any model, and we can try to identify what are the models we can develop when it is coming to the mathematical relationship. Then the end of the sessions, the last sessions, we can discuss how can we develop the particular model, example multiple linear regressions model as well as the binary logistic regressions model. If the time permit, we can see other possible logic modeling techniques also. Then I will end with the validations as well as the interpretations of the all the result. How can we do from the SPSS output? So this is we can cover in the last session. So this is the complete outline of the 2 days lecture as well as the hand-on practice on the SPSS software. Particularly, we are mainly going to focus in the transportations engineering. So here, other than myself, one of my research scholar, he joined with us for this particular workshop, and he will be there with us for the 2 days. So when we are doing the hands-on practice, and he will help us. He's a very good in the SPSS software, and he is utilizing the SPSS software with respect to his PhD problems. Currently, he is working in the freight modeling techniques, and he utilized the SPSS software as well as he is expert in the R software also. So he will also joining with us for discussing as well as to solving the various issues with respect to the SPSS software. With this very brief outline, so I'm moving to the presentations. As I told that the presentation is divided into the two parts. One is the research scope. What are the research scopes are there in the transportation engineering with the applications of SPSS software. Once we understand the basics, then we can move to the mathematical aspect. What are the mathematical things are there? So when it is coming to the SPSS, it is nothing but a statistical package for social science. Okay. So we are going to study about the various social science behavior by linking the statistical approaches by using this particular software. So this is the abbreviations of the SPSS software. statistical package for social science. So here we are going to study various psychological and the behavioral relationship between the various variable when it is coming to the mathematical approach. So many of them cover the fundamentals of the transportation engineering and various research scope. But still, for the warm up, I will just start with a very basic definition. So transportation is nothing but transferring the goods or the passenger from one place to another place. So when we are talking about the transport, what are the technology as well as the science we have adopted to provide that facilities for the road users, that particular area is considering as a transportation engineering. So like we have a provided the roadways, when it is coming to the roadways, we have the different kind of the mode. Like we have the public transportations as well as the personal vehicle, paratransit like Ola, Uber sharing also there. So these are the different kind of the modes we have contributed on the field level to make the movement of that particular things. We have provided the various facilities as well as the technologies. Okay, and all these things are coming under the planning, operations as well as the maintenance. So altogether, when the transportation engineers we are studying and we are designing, finally we are planning, so that is considering as a research aspect how the transportations are contributing to provide the efficient transportations engineering facilities. So when it is coming to the research related problem, so most of the research, okay, when it is coming to the world level, irrespective of the developing and the developed countries, the research level, we are mainly focusing to reduce the congestions and reduce the delay. So here the mathematical approach and various concepts are playing the major role. To achieve that concept as well as the fundamentals, we are using the various software, and one of the most utilized software is the SPSS software in the perspective of predicting the congestion index as well as to estimate the delay about the vehicle at particular intersection. The second will be the accident. So accident is plays the major role when it is coming to the safety related issues. So when it is coming to the accidents, we can develop the various model to predict the number of the accidents. Example, Poisson distributions model, negative binomial model. When it is coming to the probability of the accidents, we can develop the binary logic model to estimate the probability of accident happen or not happen. So those kind of the analytic mathematical approach we can develop when it is coming to the accident study. Then the pollutions. So what will be the existing conditions? What is the emissions rate with respect to the traffic, with respect to the future scenario? What will be the pollutions rate when it is coming to the tomorrow or the next month or the next year? So the predictions or the estimations of the pollutions also coming under the mathematical development as one of the research scope. The final one will be the growth of the personal vehicle. So it is coming under the planning and it is also creating the major issues. So this is the highlighted, or we can say the major pillar when it is coming to the research problem in the transportation field. Other than that, we have the various micro level research oriented problems. So let me explain with respect to the areas wise. So basically, when it is coming to the transportation engineering, we have the three different kind of the area. One is traffic, second will be the transportation planning, and third will be the payment technology. So here I am going to give the much importance towards the traffic engineering, as well as I will give the very quick idea in the planning aspect. So when it is coming to the SPSS modeling and all, that example data which I'm going to circulate from the afternoon sessions, that is related to the planning aspect. Okay. So when it is coming to the traffic, what actually we are studying? Example, what is the existing condition? So the road is already constructed. The movement of the vehicles are going on. So what is the existing conditions with respect to the operations and management of that particular facilities, considering as a research scope related to the traffic? Example, one signal is there. What is the accident rate or what is the safety issues with respect to the existing condition or the current condition? So those kind of the studies is coming under the traffic related study. Example, safety, we can study management and control. So what is the signal time, the vehicles are getting the more delay, how to optimize that particular signal. So those kind of the things are coming under the management and control. Then the intermodal and multimodal interactions, how it has happened. Then the urban structures, when it is coming to the macro level, how the urban structures, road network and are performing with respect to the efficiency. We can estimate the efficiency of the road network. Then the parking, so one of the main issues when it is coming to the Indian conditions, parking is creating the major issues in the perspective of the congestions, particularly in the urban area. So study about the parking index estimations, as well as the illegal behavior of the parking, that is also we can develop when it is coming to the parking studies. Finally, the technologies, the various technologies we are adapting, solving the traffic engineering. So as I told that optimizing the signal time, we are trying to utilize the genetic algorithm, or we are trying to apply the artificial neural network. So these are all the machine learning techniques which we can get the output from the many of the software. But what fundamentally, or how the fundamental aspects are there with respect to the technologies, that we have to study in the mathematical perspective. So this is the overview about the traffic engineering. So what are the different limited scopes here I have shown. Other than that, we have the various studies that we can see in later. The second part is the planning. So when it is coming to the planning, I will explain with a very simple example. So what will be the present conditions? What is the conditions of that particular area after 20 years? And what is the conditions after 50 years? So it is nothing but the forecasting. So when it is coming to the planning, it is a straightforward term. It is a forecasting. We are trying to forecast with respect to the base year or the existing conditions. Considering the future, what are the facilities we can provide for the current scenario, that is considering as a research scope on the transportation field. So basically, when it is coming to the transportation planning, we have the four modeling aspect: trip generations, trip distributions, mode shift, and what will be the traffic assignment for that particular road network. So all these four stage modeling aspects are playing the major role in the concept of the mathematical aspect. So mostly we are trying to develop the utilize the statistical tool to achieve all the stages of the planning stage, and finally we are achieving what will be the future scenarios. So this is the overview about the traffic engineering as well as the transportation planning. And before moving to the research area, so I would like to say that when it is coming to the SPSS hand and practice, so you have to be very strong in two aspects. So one is what problem you are going to solve, or else we can simply say that what is your research scope or what is your research problem. To solve that problem, what are the model you are going to develop. So basically you have to be very strong about your technical aspect, exactly what model you want to develop it. So that will be the one thing, it is going to the core area of your research. The second will be the mathematical aspect. So if you want to use the SPSS software, you have to be definitely strong knowledge in the mathematical aspect. Okay, so two major areas is a mandatory before you start working in SPSS, because it plays the various assumptions when it is coming to the mathematics. In case if you are planning to adopt the normal distributions, so it has a different kind of the assumption. So all the assumptions are matching with your data or not, you have to check it. Once you check the data with respect to the distributions, then you try to identify with what model you can develop for that particular distributions for forecasting or estimating your, what we can say, your research related scope. So this is the two things you have to be very strong. And the today lectures I will show the research scope in the micro level, as well as I will just briefly show that what are the major mathematical aspects plays the major role. And whenever you are getting the time on today, you just explore in the micro level before we move to the hands-on practice on that particular mathematical terms and assumptions. Okay, so when it is coming to the research scope in the transportation engineering, so we have the two categories. One is motorized, another one will be the non-motorized transport. So motorized, it is a straight term. So whatever the car, two-wheeler, buses, all the terms which is coming under the fuel, so that is considering in the motorized transport. The non-motorized transport is nothing but we can study about the pedestrians, and the bicyclist, as well as other non-motorized modes are there. But when it is coming to the research related scope, we much give importance for the pedestrians and the bicyclist. So basically the traffic engineering, so it is mainly focusing about to provide the safer environment as well as the efficient flow on that particular road network. So whatever the road network is there, as a transportation planner and the designer aspect, our main target is to provide the safety for that road users and efficient traffic flow at that particular network with respect to the comfort, convenient and the efficiency level. So the safety as well as the efficiency we can achieve with respect to the various parameters like a road geometric when it is coming to the non-motorized sidewalks, crosswalk, cycling infrastructures. Then it is coming to the road traffic control signboard as well as the road marking and lights, how it is there. So all these scenarios we have provided, but how it is served to the end users in the perspective of the safety, comfort, convenience, and the efficiency that is coming under the research related scope. While narrowed downing, we have the 5 classifications we can focus in the micro level, traffic related studies as well as the analysis where the SPSS software is mainly contributing. Second, traffic operations and management. So when it is coming to the traffic studies and analysis, so the basic knowledge is sufficient to perform that SPSS analysis. But when it is coming to the traffic operations and control, so you have to be little bit versatile when it is coming to the SPSS software, because here we are trying to apply various simulations or optimization techniques over here. Third, geometric design. Here the very basics and the fundamental. So with respect to the design, how it is utilized and how can be better environmental provided with respect to the mathematical approach. There the beginner as well as the basic fundamental knowledge is more than sufficient to solve that particular issues. Fourth one will be the administration and management. The final one will be the planning and analyzing. So except traffic operations and control, so other related field anyone can solve by using the SPSS software. But when it is coming to the operations and control, you little bit more knowledge when it is coming to the machine learning as well as the clustering technique. If you want to narrow down and explain in a very quick manner, so when it is coming to the traffic studies, we must focus about the traffic volume, what are the traffic speed, travel time study, delay study, as well as the queuing study. So this kind of the basics parameters. So if you want to do research anything related to the traffic engineering, okay, the basics one concept is you have to study about the traffic parameters. So we have the standard default parameters like a volume, speed, density, delay, travel time. All these 5 parameters you have to default study initial stage. Based on the preliminary descriptive analysis, you can move further in micro level discussion. So this is giving the fundamental about the any transportations research related project. Second, when it is coming to the origin destination studies, parking studies and all, what is your origin and the destinations, how the patterns of flow are happening, how the demands are there and what supply we can provide it. So those kind of the analysis we can study with respect to the, if you have the strong knowledge in the supply chain and all, demand, okay, supply, as well as how the facilities are utilized. So those kind of the studies we can conduct when it is coming to the origin destinations as well as the parking study. So what will be the parking index? What will be the future scenarios if you are providing the parking building? So those and other coming under the parking studies as well as the traffic generation studies. As I told that the first scenario is showing the fundamental studies. You have to default, you have to do. But when it is coming to the micro level, you can do for the forecasting also. So what is the present traffic volume? By considering the various parameters, what will be the future volume? So considering that the future volume, what are the facilities we can provide? So this is the one example when it is coming to the traffic generation study. Like that, we can perform for the all other parameters also in the micro level. So this is the traffic studies which most of the BTech as well as the MTech scholars they used to do. So many of the faculties are there. So you try to explore the project related to the transportations engineering field by providing this fundamental studies in their BTP project or their MTech level project. But when it is coming to the MTech level project, you try to explore a little bit one step ahead. That is nothing but the traffic analysis. So you might study about the basic fundamentals, how all the basic fundamentals are utilized to check the safety or the efficiency level of the particular location. So those kind of the existing pattern checking we used to develop based on the level of service. So basically the level of service is giving the qualitative as well as the quantitative measure for the particular locations. So if you have the qualitative data or the quantitative data or combining both data, so what is the existing conditions? It might be ranking 1 to 6. So it is a ordinal data. In that kind of the particular area, you have to develop the ordered probic model or the cumulative logistic regression. So both the model can be developed by utilizing the SPSS software. So this is the one high scope when it is coming to the capacity study as well as the level of service studies, irrespective of motorized or non-motorized transportation. Then the micro level studies the traffic simulations. So what is the existing conditions? You try to model and you try to run and extract the data. Using that data, what are the relationship we can make it when it is coming to the traffic analysis study? So that is the second scenarios you can explore in the master level. So this is the first one, the basic one, how the traffic studies and analysis we can perform. We can create the mathematical relationship to represent the existing conditions as well as the future conditions. And all these models can be developed by utilizing the SPSS software. The second one, I told that the control and operation systems. So it is a controlling with respect to the various devices, signboards, as well as the technology. It is going one step above. So to adopt various research problem in the traffic control and operation systems, you can adopt the SPSS software, or else you try to adopt the MATLAB or the R software also, because here we are going to mainly use about the simulations, optimizations, clustering, and other machine learning techniques to provide and control the smooth system for the particular locations. So when it is coming to the SPSS also, when it is coming to the operations and the control, in the SPSS also, we have the clustering as well as the neural network approaches also. So, but that is coming under the advanced level. So within the 2 days frame, we can able to cover the very basics and the beginning stages of the modeling aspect. So if it is a time permit or if any chances are in the future, so definitely we try to cover when it is coming to the machine learning approach. So the third one will be the geometric design. So here everybody knows that the geometric design, it is a general term. It is not only with respect to the transportation engineering field. So any field when it is coming to the geometric design. So what is the optimized geometric designs we can provide? Example, the volume will be there. What will be the demand will be there. Okay, for that particular volume as well as the demand, what are the roadway width we can provide. So that is the one of the studies. So you might be doing the various iterations or you might be developing some of the regressions equations to predict or to estimate the width of that particular roadway. So this is the one examples of how the geometric designs we can develop by using the mathematical approach. Then the administrations and the management, here also the simulations, ITS, various tracking system, toll collection systems, all the things are coming under the advanced level, but all the applications are in the secondary level. So before moving to the secondary level, the first level, you have to understand the existing pattern, understand the existing situations by developing the various correlations between the variables. So based on that, you try to propose what are the solutions we can provide. So when it is coming to the administrations and management, you need the fundamental about the pattern. So all the fundamental and the relationship with respect to the management are studied with respect to the various correlation testings. Okay, so that we are going to cover in our hand-on practice also. So the final one will be the planning. As I told, that is a straight term. So what is, you might be having the various parameters. Using the parameters, you are trying to forecast, develop the forecasting model. So that is we can see in the today afternoon class onwards. So that problem I will explore in the detail when it is coming to the practice. So this is with respect to the different classifications, and this is the flow to topic in case if you want to provide for the your MTech or the PhD scholars or the BTech scholars. So using that SPSS software and adopting the various transportation fundamentals, you try to solve all the research issues. Example, travel demand modeling. So what is the demand for the car passengers or else other passengers? What is the land use pattern, freight demand modeling? modeling the route choice behavior. Your origin destinations might be A and B, and what are the route we can select, so that the optimizations also you can perform it. Then pricing, so economic related analysis also you can perform using the SPSS software. Effect of the port integrations, example, if you want to integrate the various facilities at a single point, how the effects are happening with respect to the correlations and the modeling aspect, and the optimizations techniques also there. Again, the transit oriented in a single point, how the demand and the supplies are there, and what are the facilities are we can provide. So these are the selected research topic we can solve with respect to the SPSS software. So in case this I explained about the fundamental, you might be from the some other field, but the working flow might be the same. You try to map with the working flow as well as the methodology, and you try to adopt the same techniques to solve your research problems. That case, SPSS will be the very beneficial when it is coming to the hands-on practice. And these are the other research topics we can explore with respect to the pedestrian, bicycle, road safety. Particularly, I told about that the SPSS software is mainly utilized for the study about the psychological behaviors and so how the driver's behavior are happening with respect to the various behavior like mobile phone usage, helmet usage, seat belt usage, even their overspeeding behavior, drinking driving behavior. So those kind of the micro level behavioral studies also we can perform when it is coming to the SPSS software. So this is also one of the, I told that management related. These are the advanced level topic, but we can perform, we need the primary data before moving all this advanced level topics. So what is the existing scenario, how the traffic volume, as well as the transportation's mode, as well as the driver behavior, how linked each other, how the correlations are happen between the behavior as well as the traffic flow. So those kind of the fundamental studies we can perform. Also, you can try to identify the emissions model development also. So we have the default emissions model, but still if you're planning to develop your own model by adopting any regression techniques, then the spaces as well as this research related scope is feasible when we are planning to perform with respect to the BTech as well as the master level. Next will be the research scope on the non-motorized transport. So here I will very quickly cover. So when it is coming to the transportation engineering, the data collections plays the major role, because when it is coming to the SPSS, we are simply playing with the data. So the data is playing the mandatory role when it is coming to the transportation research, as well as when it is coming to the SPSS software. So if you don't have the proper data, then it highly affecting the outcome of your modeling aspect. So whatever the model you want to develop, you have to understand your pattern of the variables, the data you have extracted or the collected, and you have to study about the pattern of all the variables. Then you have to move for the modeling aspect. So basically, when it is coming to the transportation field, we used to collect the data in the different form. One is questionnaire form. So directly we are collecting the data from the online survey, or we are going to the field and we are conducting the data. Then the video survey, you set some camera and capture the 2 hours video of the traffic, then coming to the lab and you can extract the data using the Excel software. Then the simulations, you try to perform various simulations. Based on the simulations, you try to extract the various parameters. So these are three major areas, or the three categories we can collect the data, particularly for the traffic data, irrespective of the pedestrians or the vehicle. So we can collect the data, and all the data can be, what we can say, can be formatted in the Excel sheet. The whatever the data extracted or the simulated, you have to enter all the data in the Excel sheet. So that will be helpful when it is coming to the import in the SPSS software, or even if you are using MATLAB or some other tool also. So Excel will be the best platform to importing the data in the any software, particularly statistical top software. So the data plays the major role, and this is the research related topic. We can discuss about the walking speed or the crossing speed of the pedestrian. You try to develop the model to estimate the crossing speed of the pedestrian, then the arrival pattern of that particular pedestrians, whether he's following the Poisson distributions or the normal distribution or the uniform distribution. So those kind of arrival pattern we can study. So it is a common term. It is not only for the transportation field. Any specializations we can study and discuss about the arrival pattern that is feasible in the SPSS software. Then the behavior, complaints behavior. Example, he is violating the rule or not violating. This is with respect to the transportations, but any field you can, whether it is a braking or not braking, it is a kind of the binary 0 or 1. So those kind of the studies we can perform and conduct in the SPSS software. So like that, these are the gap acceptance behavior. As I told, that level of service will be the major measures when it is coming to the evaluating any facilities. So that is also feasible when it is coming to the SPSS software. And designing facilities. So this is the third one we have discussed, geometric design. So when we are talking about the vehicle, like that, we can provide for the pedestrians facilities also by providing the various facilities. Finally, we perform the priorities also, like a ranking. You might be studied about the analytical hierarchical approach or weighted average method. So various techniques, mathematical approaches are there to prioritize or rank the facilities. So that is also feasible when it is coming to the SPSS software. So in your project, you might be having the 5 solutions. You might be confused with what is the best solution. To identify that best solutions, you try to prioritize that all the 5 variable by adopting AHP or the weighted average methods or some other techniques also. So those kind of the analysis we can perform in the SPSS software. So this is a very typical, very other standard model, like a conflict model, accident predictions model, simulations model, and transit oriented model. So these and all we can develop in that SPSS software. So with this quick introductions about the research scope on the transportation engineering field, now I will move to the SPSS. But before moving to the SPSS, as I told that there's a 2 steps are there. One is we have to be strong in the technical aspect. The second will be the mathematical aspect. Okay, so before starting our noon sessions, I kindly request all the participants to explore the various possible, what we can say, mathematical terms, which I'm going to cover in the further slides. Okay, so before moving to that, basically what we are doing actually. So that is my first explanations. So when it is coming to the model, so if you want to develop any model, so what we are going to do? So that will be the first questions. So, Girish, Dr. Girish,
Sir, hello.
can we give just a minute? I will switch on my charger and then come back.
Sure, sure,
Sorry
sure.
for
Please go
interrupting.
ahead, sir. No issues. We'll wait.
Okay, so thank you. So
Yes.
the next will be the modeling. So what is the model? So basically, if you want to develop the model, what are the steps or the standards we are following? So that I will give the very quickly. So basically, when it is coming to the model development, so we have the different set of the procedures. So basically, I told that the first one will be the data collection. So whatever the project, so you need data. So the data might be collected from the field, or it might be the secondary data, or it might be the any result from the your testing. So when it is coming to the SPSS study, so all the data should be formed in that Excel format. So the Excel data is playing the major role. Okay, so that will be the first one. So you have to collect or extract your data by using your, what we can say, primary or the secondary data collections point. So that will be the first one. So second will be the data extraction. So this is particularly for the transportation field. From the video you have to extract the data. Okay, so once you have all the data, okay, what we are doing in the sense, next stage will be the analysis. So what are the analysis here we are doing? So first one will be the descriptive statistic analysis. Okay, so from in the SPSS hands-on practice, we are going to start from the third steps. The first step is default. so the data collections or the data extractions in the Excel format. Okay, so we are circulating the data in the Excel format. So these two stages we are not going to follow. So directly we are jumping to the third one, analysis. So when it is coming to the analysis, we have the two kind of the analysis. One is descriptive statistic analysis. So what will be the percentage distributions, or what is the percentile data, what is the average, standard deviations, mean, mode. So whatever the possible analysis when it is coming to the distributions as well as the descriptive data, that analysis we are going to perform in the SPSS software. So that is the one kind of the analysis. Here we are trying to identify and develop the frequency table. So once the frequency table is ready, we try to capture various graphical representations, the pie chart, bar chart, 3D 3D representations. If you have the if you want to make the relations between the three data X, Y, Z, how the plotters are happen using the SPSS software. So those kind of the fundamental descriptive analysis we can conduct in the SPSS software. That will be the first analysis. Second, it is coming under the what we can say correlations analysis. Example, if you want to develop the model, so basically your model might be like this. Okay, so basically your equations is, example I'm telling that beta x1. Okay, so this is your variable 1 and it has the coefficient as a beta plus x2 will be there. This is the second one, and beta 2 will be there. So this might be the beta 1 plus it is going on. Okay, so example, so this is the equations you want to develop. Your y is considering as a dependent variable, sorry, yeah, dependent variable, and your x1, x2 and x3 and all considering as a independent variable, and the beta 1 and the beta 2s are considering as a coefficients which we are going to estimate from your SPSS software. So this is the generalized equations when it is coming to the regression techniques. Okay, so when it is coming to the, you might be having all the data from field, what will be the x1, what will be the x2, as well as what are the y. So all the data you might be having from your field data. So all the descriptive data analysis you are performing in the first stage. Also you are trying to perform the outlier test. So outlier test is nothing but to remove the data, okay, unconfident data, or which is deviate from your mean value. So you might be having some mean, or you might be having some constraint of the data. So if it is going beyond that particular limit, that data can be removed by performing the outlier test. So that the outlier test will be the second stage once the first stage. Okay, so when we are performing the outlier test as well as the descriptive statistic analysis and all coming under the first stage. So once the first stage is over, second we are performing the correlation test. Example, y and x1 how it is correlated, y and x2 how it is correlated. So the correlations between the two variable, how it has happened, that we are going to study. Example, the y is nothing but the speed of the vehicle. You want to develop the model to estimate the speed of the driving vehicle by considering the two parameters. Example, gender and the age of the drivers. Okay, so the speed as well as the gender, how it is related each other. At the same time, the speed and the age, how it is correlated each other. So the correlation testings we are performing using the SPSS software. That will be the second analysis when it is coming to our hands-on practice. So this is we are going to cover in the micro level during our hands-on practice: descriptive statistic analysis, various diagrammatic representations, outlier test, as well as how we can perform the correlation test. So when it is coming to the correlation test, kindly I request the participant to explore about the Pearson's correlations, that is considering and the first you understand what is the parametric and non-parametric test. When it is coming to the parametric test, we are adopting the Pearson's correlation test, and non-parametrics we are performing Spearman's as well as Kendall-Dabu method we are performing, as well as we have the ANOVA and odd ratios method when it is coming to data as a discrete manner. Okay, so kindly explore about the parametric and the non-parametric test, particularly when it is coming to the correlation test, which we are going to discuss in the detailed manner in the SPSS hands-on practice. Then the final will be the modeling. So as I told that we have to develop this model. So x1 will be there, x2 will be there. So what is the coefficient value, beta 1, beta 2? So that we are going to estimate, that is considering as a modeling. So this is a generalized equations, but your data might be the, what we can say, it might be the continuous data or the discrete data or the binary data, and the x1 also x2 also different kind of the data. Okay, so with respect to your data, what model you want to develop, that you have to identify it. Example, it might be the multiple linear regressions model or the binary logic model or the order probability model. So it depends on the parameters y. So what is your independent variable and what is the type of that particular data and what distributions it falling, that you have to check before developing the model. So once you understand about that pattern, then you are going for the modeling aspect by utilizing that SPSS software. So once you very strong about the fundamental and the mathematical aspect, I'm sure that the developing the model, the SPSS, it is a very simple task. Once you learn the techniques, so definitely it is a very simple task. Within a 10 minutes, you develop the model, and the main important things are interpretations. You will get the various table from the SPSS output, and from the table how to interpret it, or what are the things you have to take it, that kind of the things if you learn it, then the developing the mathematical model in SPSS software within a work or an hour work or the 30 minutes work. So I'm trying to focus in that particular aspect, how to analyze the data in the micro level, how to develop the model, and the more important thing, how to get understand the result from the various table. So you will get a plenty of the result. I just to highlight with respect to our objective, how to take that particular data, how to interpret it. Example, positive, negative will be the how the relationships are coming, and you might be having the various approaches like a t value, p value, r squared value. So how we take all these values and how we can judge that our model is a good fit model or the moderate fit model or the poor fit model. So how can we interpret it from the values that we can discuss, which is nothing but the goodness of fit test. So that I will explain in the modeling aspect. So these two are main aspect we can perform in the SPSS software, which we are going to cover in our hands-on practice. And these two are the final stage. You have to complete your modeling aspect, like a validations you have to do. So you might be collected the 100 data. The 100 data has to be divided as a two part. Example, 80% and the 20%. Using the 80% data, you develop the model, and the remaining 20% of the data can be used for the validations purpose. So basically the 80% of the data is considering as a calibration data, and the 20% is considering for the validation data, because you developed the model using some of the data, and you have to check whether it will be good for the another locations or the future condition. So those kind of the check you can do with the unutilized sample, which is nothing but your 20% of the data. So data segregations plays the major role. So whatever the model, example, if you are performing some structural testing center, so minimum we consider as a 8 number of the sample is mandatory if you want to develop the model. So 8 used to be considered. So in case if you have the 15 number of the test result, you divide the data 80% and the 20%. Using that 80% data result, you develop the model. Remaining 20% you try to validate that model. What is the applications or how to perform or interpret the validations? Okay, so once the equations, once you have the 20 data, all the 20 data you know x1 x2 as well as you know the y1. So apply all the value here, you will get the new y dash. Okay, so already observed y will be there, and you when you are applying the x1 x2, you will get the y dash, that is considering as a predicted. So you have the y, which is nothing but the observed, as well as y dash, that is nothing but the predicted value using your equation. So once you have the observed and predicted, you try to apply various equations or the various goodness of fit test method. Example, map value, mean absolute percentage error, then the root mean square error. Then you try to capture what will be the r squared between these two value, or you try to plot the 45 degrees also. So these are the some of the selected methods. Other than that, we have the various mathematical equations also to check the y difference between the y and the y dash. So that is also feasible in the validations part in the SPSS software. So this is also you have to perform it. Then the final one will be the sensitivity analysis. So sensitivity analysis is nothing but when you are trying to change the one parameter, how it is affecting the another parameter. So those kind of the analysis studies we are trying to capture it. Okay, for example, the equation, standard equations, this is a standard equations. Okay, in the standard equation, if you're changing x1 10 percentage, how your y values are changed. If you are changing 20 percentage, how your y values are changing, but you are not disturbing the other parameters are considering as a constant. And when you are playing with only x1, how the variable y is changed. So those kind of the sensitivity analysis when we are performing, so we try to capture the variable significant role of the individual variable with the your independent variable. So those kind of the sensitivity analysis we can perform. Based on that, you try to arrive the various solutions. Okay, practical policies as well as the practical solutions we can able to arrive from your sensitivity analysis. And the best representation of the sensitivity analysis is the tornado diagram. So it is just a simple diagram. Tornado baseline will be there. From the baseline, if it is increasing positive 10 percentage and the negative 10 percentage, how the x1 is changed. So those kind of the tornado diagram representations we can plot using the SPSS software to understand and performing about the sensitivity of the each variable with your dependent variable. So this is the complete process of the modeling aspect in the mathematical view. So irrespective of the problems, either whether it might be the transportations problem or the structural problems or any field, if you are following all the stages and if you are concluding this your modeling aspect with some suggestions and the recommendations, so that definitely it is the high score for the any standard journals. Okay, so basically, again, I'm just giving the overview so far what I have discussed in the modeling. So in the modeling, the data collections or the data extractions plays the major role irrespective of the specializations. Once you have the data, in case if you are planning to develop the model in the SPSS software, it should be saved in the XLS format, nothing but your SPSS file. So once your data is ready, you have to perform the analysis. You try to understand the variable existing pattern like a descriptive analysis and outlier test we can perform, various graphical representations we can extract from the SPSS software. The second will be the correlation test. So before moving to the model, you try to understand how it is correlate each other, y and x1, y and x2, by performing the parametric and non-parametric correlation test. Once you understand all the significant factors, then you can go for the modeling. So modeling, you are dividing your data as at 80 percentage and the 20 percentage. And first you understand what is the pattern of your y. So what is the, what we can say, what is the data type and what is the distributions it falling, or else at least you try to understand what is the pattern of your y variable. Once you understand the pattern, then you can go for the particular modeling approach. In the SPSS, you have all the mathematical like a logistic regressions, binary logic model, order probability model, cumulative logistic regressions, multiple linear regressions, generalized linear regressions, okay, generalized regressions. Okay, so all these modeling approaches are there, but what your data is falling, according to that you have to choose the modeling aspect. Without that, okay, with that the modeling approach is not completed, definitely you have to go for the validation. So whatever the standard journal if you want to publish with respect to your mathematical model, your validations result will talk more. So whatever the reviewer are there, definitely they will look what is the result of your validations part. So without validations, your model is considering as an invalid only. So you have to perform with the validations using the 20 percentage of the data, and you try to develop and estimate the various goodness of fit parameters like a map, RMS, R squared, R value, or yeah, only percentage difference or the error distance. So those kind of the parameters we can estimate, and from that you just try to interpret it and conclude your model. The final one, sensitive, will be the optional. So it is an optional in case if you are planning to provide some of the policies or the suggestions, recommendations based on that your outcome. So the sensitivity analysis give the clear picture what kind of the analysis recommendations we can provide by consider the independent variable. So this is the complete package, sorry, complete process. We are going to mainly focusing about the analysis and the modeling aspect in the SPSS software. So before discussion, I will show another thing with respect to the mathematical approach. So which was circulated by my scholar Varahan. So here I will just to show the highlight the things. What are the things you have to be, at least you have to be get a knowledge. So in a meanwhile free time you just explore all the things. First you try to understand. I told that the pattern or the data is the main important what kind of the modeling aspect you are going to develop. So before the data you have to understand about the what is the population. So when it is coming to the modeling transportations, Tiruchirappalli is the overall population. So we can't collect all the data in the Tiruchi. Okay. So we are going to narrow down it. So we are collecting some particular data. So population is considering as a overall data, and the sample is considering that what are the or how many number of the data you are going to use for your modeling aspect. So when it is coming to the concept, you try to understand what is populations, what is sample, and the variable. As I told, the dependent and the independent variables are there. You try to understand all these parameters. So this will help to understand about the existing pattern, and to perform the various descriptive analysis. You should know what is a population, sample, variable, and all. Because when it is coming to the modeling and all, we are confirming that our model is working well with respect to the t value. You might be aware of the student t statistic value, p value will be there, ANOVA value will be there, Walt value will be there, R squared value will be there. So understand all these parameters or the definition of all the parameters. You have to understand the population, sample, and the variables. So you try to explore all these three parameters. Then it is very simple. Everybody knows that what size, mean, you might be knowing standard deviations, and the correlations coefficients, which we are going to explore in the detailed manner. So all these parameters you try to explore, and all these variables we can directly extract from the SPSS software. So no need to use of all these equations. In a simple click, we get all this output from the SPSS software. But before getting that output, the interpretations is required. You should understand what is the meaning of the mean, standard deviations, and all. So all these parameters you try to explore, and these are the formulas, the what we can say, the behind how the working conditions are happening in the SPSS software. So this is the formulations for the p test, z test, t test, and all. So this is with respect to the simple from the SAM populations, how the sample has been taken, and you are organizing your data, and you are trying to analyze your data. From that analysis, you are trying to inference how the data are working. Sample is working to represent that particular population. Example, Tiruchi data will be there. From the Tiruchi data, you are only collecting for that particular location data. Okay, in the particular locations you are organizing all the data, and you are performing the various analysis, mean or the standard deviation or whatever it is. From that you are trying to understand the sample, how it is working, and that understanding we are linking with the population. So this is the way we are trying to capture about the data. And as I told that the data has a different format. It might be the categorical data or the qualitative data or the quantitative data. So we have the various graphical representations, bar chart, pie chart, histogram, steam leaf, pie chart, time plot. So all this plot we can perform using the SPSS software, which we will see in the later class. Okay. And we can summarize the data in the various format. And this is the coding, how we can perform descriptive, univariate, bivariate, and multivariate. So when it is coming to the correlations and all, we used to go for the univariate and the bivariate, because we have the limited kind of the data. With respect to the data, we try to perform those analyses. So the finally the data, as I told that the data plays a major role when it is coming to the your y or the dependent variable. You should know what is your data. So basically we have the nominal, ordinal, interval, and the ratios. So you have to understand how the nominals are there. It might be the classifications. Ordinal, it might be the order data 1, 2, 3, 4, and all. So interval, it might be the, it is given as a ratios. Okay, 1 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. So those kind of the intervalling data also will be there. Then the ratios or continuous variable will be there. What is the height, age might be 0 to 100. So anything. So it is in a continuous data, it is coming under the ratios. So you try to understand and capture what is the form of your data, nominal, ordinal, interval, or the ratios. So according to that, we try to develop the model. Okay. So when it is coming to the SPSS, we have the only three classifications. So that is the nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Together, they have considered as a scaled data. So somebody might be familiar with the scale. Instead of interval and the ratio, we refer as a scale, that is given as a incorporated in the SPSS software. So before moving to the hands-on practice and the lectures, so you try to understand and explore how the mathematical plays the major role. Particularly, you try to understand all the mathematical concept, how we are defining for the modeling, particularly when it is coming to the regressions modeling. Okay. So so this is the very brief introductions about the morning session. So just I have started with the SPSS and how we are applying, or what are the way we can apply for the transportations engineering problem. Particularly, we have discussed about the various research when it is coming to the traffic as well as the transportation planning. Then we try to collect what are the mathematical aspects are playing the major role. If you want to develop one equations, what are the typical stages? Okay, all the stages has to be followed. So what are the stages are there, and what are the factors or what are the variables we are considering when it is coming to the mathematical aspect? That things we have discussed in the overview. So before moving to the discussions or the hands-on practice, I kindly request all the participant again, so explore various mathematical aspect or the fundamental. So even though we can able to work in the SPSS, still if you have the very good explorations or the knowledge on the mathematical field, definitely it will be highly easy task for you working on the SPSS software. Okay. So is there any doubt so far whatever we have discussed, or the what way you want to cover? So basically, so SPSS software we have circulated. Okay, so when you're trying to open your once you have it installed, you try to open your SPSS software. Okay, so it is developed by the IBM. So SPSS statistics, I'm using the version 25. I think the organizing committee, I think circulated 23, but not much improvement, or there is a much different actually. So once you try to open that SPSS software, you might be getting this kind of the welcome to IBM SPSS statistics. You just to simply close that, and you will get that your what initial page or the home page which we are going to work further. Okay, so here you have the data view and the variable view. And the afternoon sessions, I will give the very quick introductions about all the options available in the SPSS software. I will explain about the data view as well as options available in the variable view, as well as you will get two kind of the stage. One is, this is considering as a, what we can say, this is considering as a data input page, as well as you have the output page also. So two pages are there. So what are the options, or what are the things we can perform with respect to the two pages, and the data entry and the basic descriptive analysis and all. So we will cover in the today lectures. Okay, so once you install, so if you're opening and if it is coming data view and the variable view, so you have installed successfully, so we can able to work on that particular software. So that is the reason I just open and shown how it looks once you install your SPSS software. Okay, so now the floor is open for discussions, the applications of the SPSS, or the any feasible scope or the research scope related to the transportations engineering, particularly for the traffic as well as the planning, or anything mathematical steps if you want to discuss here, or any directions if you want to get from my side. Now the floor is open for the participants. Or else you try to float your question in the chat box. I think mediator might be explain the questions. I will try to answer all the questions. So I request the participant to raise your question or post your question in the chat box. So meanwhile, I will show this is the data entry sheet in the SPSS format. So data entry sheet, you have the two views. One is the data view and another one will be the variable view. So here we are trying to enter all the data, or we are trying to import all the data for the analysis purpose. Once the analysis, when you are performing all the analysis, all the results you will get it in the output. Okay, this is the output screen. Now I'm not performed anything, so it is a blank. So there is a two. One is here you can able to see untitled data set 0. So this is the data page and this is an output page. So data page you are entering or the importing all the data and you are trying to analyze the performance. Once you perform the analysis, directly it leads to the your output page. So this is the output page. Here you will get all the outputs. Okay. Dr. Girish.
Sir, hello. Two participants actually raised their hand. They can unmute yourself and you can talk.
Okay, okay, okay.
Someone Sheikh and someone Poonam. You can
Yes,
talk.
Sheikh Niyash, you just mute. Yeah, you already unmute. You mute your
Unmute.
audio and ask right your question.
It is not audible.
Hello.
Ah, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
madam.
No. Yes.
Yes, sir. So I am Poonam from VNIT Nagpur. I
Okay.
have used SPSS, but I have one question that is the model fit is enough for the validation in any modeling? I
Any?
have done I
Okay.
have done structural equation modeling. First, I did
Mm,
exploratory factor analysis.
mm.
And after that, I did confirmatory factor analysis. So
Okay.
I have doubt that the model fit is enough for the validation.
So have you segregated your data?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so with respect to the validations data, if you are confirming that all the values are getting the significant range. So example, if one example, if the map value is there, it is 0 to 10 in the sense it is an excellent performance. 11 to 20, it is a giving the good performance. So like that, we have the threshold value. So with the respect to the all the threshold value, how it is satisfied with respect to your validation result, based on that you try to conclude how your model is performing. Even when it is coming to the R squared also, we used to tell that if it is above zero point 0.5, then it is a good model. So if it is going up above zero point 0.8 and the 0.9 and all, it is a very good fit. So like that, we have threshold value for all the goodness of fit measure parameters. Using your validation data, what are the goodness of fit values you are rising, that value when you are comparing with the standard value, from that you try to conclude how your model is performing finally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. So the one question is raised in the chat box: what should be the sample size for 4-stage modeling in transportations? Okay, so it is with respect to the problems it used to vary. So when it is coming to the standardized, when it is coming to the literature review, so the reviewers as well as the experts used to confirm that if the your sample is more than 300, it is more than sufficient to validate your data or and as well as your modeling result. But still it is with respect varies with respect to the modeling aspect. Okay, so my research scholar has told that when it is coming to the structural equations modeling and all, your data should be more than thousands. Okay, so like that, limitations also there with respect to the modeling approach. So when it is coming to the 4-stage model, the first stage will be the generations or the demand estimation, and the distributions also we have the various kind of the gravity model and other model. So with respect to the modeling techniques, what you are going to adopt the mathematical approach, so each model has the limitations with under the sample size constraint. So with respect to that, we can finalize the number of the data. We can't generalize, but still when it is coming to the research level and the existing literature review, if you want to standardize or the summarize the 300, usually we used to refer the papers has the sample size more than 300. The next question, the Sheikh Nias raised that what are the other software like SPSS? Which one is best for intermediate? So irrespective of the software, I would like to know what is your objective or the methodology. Okay, software, we have the various kind of the software like SPSS we have, or is one of the another best platform, and the MATLAB is one of the excellent platform to perform all the advanced level analysis also. Then we have the Minitab, origin software. So we have the plenty of statistical approaching software, Mathematica we have. So what is your objective? So according to that objective, what you want to adopt that one. So that is the things. So it is not with respect to the beginner, intermediate, or excels. Okay, so the software, it is a common initial stage, it is considering as a beginner, maybe the 1 month, or if you're working for the 2-3 project, obviously you will become an expert in that particular software. So there is a no segregations with respect to the beginner or the intermediate. Maybe we can segregate with respect to the basic some knowledge. Example, if you are very good and well in the coding and the programming, then you can go for the MATLAB and the R software. Or we are much familiar and expert in the Excel and the very simple task and all, then the SPSS, Minitab, origin software and all best suitable. So we can segregate instead of the intermediate at the beginner. If you have the coding knowledge, you can choose the another way. If you don't have the coding knowledge, you just choose for the SPSS and the Minitab origin software. So like that, we can segregate the softwares. And particularly, you have to go with your applications or the objective of your study. How to calculate V load? Okay. So I feel that question is very general. How to calculate weed load in the sense, it is a kind of they are asking the road distributions or the interactions. So various kind of the studies we can perform between the wheel load as well as the interactions between the payment, as well as we are linking with the deformations, cracking or rutting and all, how it is happening. So those kind of the testing related, if you are getting all the data, if you want to develop the distributions as well as the relations, so then the SPSS software we can adopt. So that will be the one of the solutions. But the yeah, for the generalized question. So one, the question is, if the R value, are you talking about the R value or R square value? So if you're specifying that one, then it will be very good to explain. So if the R is less than 0.5, whether the variable has been removed in road accident. So R is basic, it is R different from the R squared value. So when it is coming to the R value, so which is R squared, okay. So you were talking about the R squared value. So R squared value is not with respect to the single parameters, okay. So when you are developing the model, so x1, x2, x3, x4 will be there. From that, you are trying to identify what will be the y dash. So the link between or the relations between y and y dash we are trying to explain using that R square value. So and yeah, when it is coming to the 0.1, 0.2 and all, it is a low value. We just confine and tell that the model is poorly predicting. That might be the issues with respect to the number of the sample. Example, you might be considered 20 data or the 30 data. The number is not sufficient. So sample size you have to increase. The second possibilities is as you mentioned that the variable. So you might be incorporated the 3 variables, which is not highly significant with that one. In that case, you have to play with your parameters. You change another parameters and you have to check how the R squares and all improving. Okay. So, but before judging, if you want to identify the significant variable, instead of a R squared value, you just go with the correlation test. When you are performing the correlation test, you might be getting the 95% confidence interval, 99% confidence interval. So with respect to the p value, so you finalize whether the variables are significantly influencing or not. If it is significantly influencing, you go for the model development with that particular variable. So if you want to choose the variable for the model development, instead of R squared, so you go for the statistical approach like a Pearson's p-value or the other Spearman's p-value, or you can perform for the ANOVA value. So this value, if it is less than 0.05, then it is significant. You can incorporate it at the 95% confidence interval. If the variable is getting the correlations less than 0.01, then it is significant at the 99% confidence interval. So like that, you interpret your variables, that variable you can incorporate in the model. Then you check for the R squared value. Still, if the R squared values are not getting the significant, what we can say, less than 0.5 or the 0.4, then there might be the some reasons with respect to the variable. You have to change the another variable, or you have to increase the number of the variable, or it might be some basics error might be there with respect to your modeling assumptions. So all these aspects you have to explore, and if you are incorporating, then there is a possibilities of R square value increasing in the R square value. Still, if it is not improving, so due to the lag of the assumptions on the mathematical approach, you are getting the lesser R squared value. So you try to adopt some of the soft computing techniques, like some of the machine learning approaches like ASVM or ANN, or the so any other clustering or soft computing techniques you try to approach. In that case, definitely you will get a better model fit. So this is the answer for the Pradyusha question. So any other questions from the participant? So still, anyway, I will connect for the today afternoon session as well as tomorrow.
That is
So
better, sir.
wherever you are rising, wherever you are getting the questions, or still if you want to discuss the questions the later part also, I will be available for the next 3 sessions. So we will interact each other. And before the afternoon sessions, I kindly request the participant again to explore some of the mathematical approach before developing the model as well as the analysis. Also try to install the SPSS software in your respective laptops. Okay. So Girish,
Sir,
just to
there
guide
is
the
one
participants
question.
who are not installed, you might be having the 15 more minutes in the today's 10 more minutes in today's session.
Sure, we'll help, sir.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you. We'll meet once
starting
again
afternoon
in
session by
afternoon
4
session.
p.m. Yeah, directly. So meanwhile, I will circulate the data sheet, Excel sheet. That is also just to share with the participant.
Sure, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Right, sir. Thank you. We'll see in the afternoon.
Yeah, yes.
At 4
Okay.
o'clock, 4 p.m.
Yes,
Sharp.
yes.
Thank you, sir. Great.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, participant. You just interact with the organizer. You try to install the software. Meanwhile, I will circulate the material also, data sheet. So we will see in the afternoon class. Okay. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. I request all the participants to kindly just install the software. Please do that. Whoever is having that facility can do that installation process. We will once again share the screen, the installation process. If at all anybody needs, they can. Tirumala, actually, we sent the software to your mail IDs. If you are not received any mail, you can just give your mail so that we can, if possible, we'll share to you as well. There is no feedback link for today. It will be given for tomorrow only. Okay. I repeat this. There is no feedback link for today because this is 2-day hands-on experience. So for the entire 2 day, we will have one single feedback link. That will be given for tomorrow in tomorrow's evening session. Your mail ID is noted, Tirumala. We will be sending that files to you. Okay. Okay. So the screen is sharing to you the procedure, the step 1, step 2, until step 6. So you can follow this and finish that installation process. I thank all the participants for your kind attention of this session, and I hope this will be really useful to all of us. And I once again remind you that we are organizing one conference which is on sustainable construction technologies and advancements in civil engineering in the month of October 9, 10. So we are inviting the call for papers. Yeah, call for papers. So there is a deadline for abstract, 25th July. So kindly note that, and if at all your students, scholars, or colleagues, friends, anybody is interested, you can refer them to go to our website and visit. Once again, I'll post our website. So kindly go through that. Maybe a few updates also will come in future. So that website you can follow for new updates. Any queries regarding the same conference that we are conducting, you can post through mail. We are uh, responding to all the mails which we are getting. And the material contents which we had yesterday and before day, I didn't receive any material so far. Once it received, we will send through the telegram as well as through the mail as well. On the final day, we have a small assessment on the final session. It takes very few minutes. It's kind of a very small assessment based on the entire program. I request all the participants to kindly aware of that and participate in that without fail. That we will be considering as a complete proper attendance. So because we need to submit the entire thing to the AICTE. So according to the AICTE instructions, we supposed to do the process.